Hey, gang, I'm always, really, I would say, examining the reason for high taxes. And, anytime I've challenged the anointed here in Burbank about why we're forced to pay 10.25% sales tax and why we have 7% of our power bill taken away from us every month to pay for the general fund. Both of these things go into the general fund, which I call the city's washing machine. We don't really know what really happens to the money because even though we have these explanations, what we hear when we ask questions is, well, that's not how much we actually spend. That's a placeholder, or that's a budget item, but we haven't actually spent that money. And I like to remind people that if you have it in your budget, you're going to spend it one way or the other. Nobody gets a refund on their sales tax, and certainly nobody comes to Burbank after buying a big ticket purchase and says, "Oh, you didn't spend that money. It's a placeholder. Would you please give back my sales tax?" It's a one and done kind of a deal. So I'm looking at ways to reduce the sales tax in Burbank and eliminate the in lieu transfers. So I wanted to try and figure out where's all the money going. I've been, examining the golf course. I've been examining things that I don't think we necessarily need here, such as senior nutrition, which is easily managed and handled by nonprofit organizations. Most of the seniors I know, anybody I know personally, are all millionaires and live in beautiful homes and have lots of money. So that's something that's a senior program I'm not really that familiar with, but I am digging into it and want to learn more. But the big one is surplus property, and I consider surplus property a complicated subject. That can also be things that the city owns that they don't need, and one of those I feel is completely an anachronism now is the Burbank Bus. You've got these big buses, and after COVID, people are afraid to be in these large buses, except perhaps the homeless. And transients certainly use the bus. I know that because I see them get off the bus in Magnolia Park and then panhandle at Porto's, and then I see them take off again. They also come on bicycles, and they also come in scooters. So I wanted to figure out, why are Burbank buses always vacant? They're always empty. They run empty all the time. So I did an examination of this, and I started to notice that more and more we have a program called Metro Micro. Now, keep in mind, Burbank Bus is paid for by your tax dollars. So for $1, you can ride the Burbank Bus. They're usually empty, and the rest of the cost of operating it, nowhere near covered by the dollar, is $8.9 million last fiscal year. The Metro Micro is another taxpayer-funded program. Make no mistake about it, you're paying for every ride, and it's like a little mini limousine. It's like a mini Uber program. It's the equivalent of an Uber, but for $1. And I was very skeptical at first when I was told Metro Micro was an Uber competitor, and I didn't believe it because I couldn't believe that the government would be picking winners and losers. In other words, they're deciding that Uber and Lyft are going to be losers in the rideshare equation, because anytime the taxpayer pays for a service at a lower cost to the rider, the service is at a lower cost to the rider, and they offer essentially the same service as a commercial business, the commercial business will eventually fail because nobody's going to use a commercial business when the government can subsidize that and give it to them at a lower cost. And when I say the government subsidizes it, that's really a false statement because it's taxpayer funded. So I downloaded the app and I went through the journey of requesting a ride. Now, I'm really, really fond of Artelise. It is a pastry shop that's in downtown Burbank. So I decided to pick up some pastries and see what the whole thing would entail. I started my journey by downloading the Metro Micro app, installing it, putting a credit card on it, and then I proceeded to go ahead and request a ride to the Artelise, at which I was told I would be picked up at Chandler and Hollywood Way, which is 3 minutes walk from my home. So here's what happened. Hey gang, there's my Metro Micro. It's arriving at 7:14. Hey gang, so it's a nice comfortable ride, air conditioned and clean. So everything's going well so far. So I just arrived at downtown and I just got dropped off. It was a nice, comfortable ride. Didn't have to touch the door because it's automated. And I'm just steps away from my final destination, which is right over here. So I came down and got my Artelis fix, and have some macarons here, which are beautiful, and then chocolate cake, and then another specialty pastry. Now I'm going to order the Metro Micro to get back to the house. Hey gang, so just got dropped off. It's just quarter after 8 p.m. I ordered the original Metro Micro over there at the corner down there, and then I picked it up at ordered it at 6:55, and then I got picked up at just after 7. I went downtown, did my shopping, and I got back here all within less than an hour and a half. So it is a bit confusing to me why we need a Burbank bus in addition to the Metro Micro. So it's both taxpayer funded programs. You're paying property taxes for the Metro Micro, and then you've got the city charging local sales tax for Burbank Bus, which is $8.9 million. So anyway, in my opinion, they should just get rid of the Burbank Bus and just direct people to use the Metro Micro, because it did a perfectly good job of getting me from here at my house to where I wanted to be. So just to clarify, at 6:55 I ordered my Metro Micro, and I skipped the Burbank Bus, used the Metro Micro. I was picked up shortly thereafter, I would say within 15 minutes, and then I was dropped off. I did my shopping and I got home I walked in the door at 8:20. So it was a very, very short trip, and I got all the shopping done that I wanted. I was completely alone on the first leg of the journey, and when I returned, there was one person ahead of me who got dropped off within 2-3 minutes of me being picked up, and then I got the ride home all by myself, and it was only me sharing the ride share, or not sharing it, but actually riding the ride share. So it makes no sense to me why Burbank Bus continues to operate when we can use this service in any coverage areas that you want to go to within the heat map, or whatever they call it, the route map, the service zones for Burbank. You have all these different service zones, and if you want to go to a specific place within different parts of the valley, they have all kinds of service zones that you can go to. You have Burbank, which has its service zone, but you have other parts of the valley as well, and you can quickly and easily get where you want to go in Burbank. You can see the route map here. It shows you where it doesn't go, and there's some parts of Burbank that it doesn't cover. But if you're going to be dropped off at the airport, or if you want to go someplace like that, you can certainly take another alternative. But if you're just going to travel around Burbank, you don't need the Burbank Bus, and it is a duplication of the service that's being offered by Metro Micro. My opinion, we could save the $8.9 million and just forego the Burbank Bus altogether, and start looking at a possibility of seeing a day where we have 9.5% sales tax like the rest of LA, and not pay that 10.25% sales tax, not pay the in-lieu transfers on our power bill, and see lower taxes. Because despite what you might hear, there are ways that the city can cut their budget without having to reduce service, without having to get rid of employees. Burbank Bus employees, there aren't that many, first of all, and whatever jobs they have, they can be retrained and given a different job. You don't need a bunch of vehicles running around consuming fuel. And if it's really about being green, you certainly don't want them running empty and burning fuel. And all those fuels are fossil fuels, wear and tear, rubber on the tires, having to buy new vehicles when they wear out, all those kind of things. So I would suggest, if you take an interest in taxes and you want to see them go down, reach out to Community Development Department, or reach out to the city manager and ask them to start looking at winding down the Burbank Bus. Thank you.